Support WrestleTalk!
Tell a friend. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today we're talking this week's episodes of Raw and Smackdown, including the 30 women Royal Rumble announcement, Brock Lesnar no selling a Kane chokeslam, and for a hot second there, we had new tag team champions. If you want to go to any of those discussions, click the timestamps in the video description below, or stay right here where we'll be starting our first show of 2018 proper. The one on Monday was pre-recorded. It's great to be back with... Luke, what are you doing, man? I'm doing an intro.
I do apologise. I've just got the second issue of the WrestleTalk magazine, which is a very fine publication with some excellent articles. I was actually just reading through the WrestleTalk 100, which is a detailed list of the 100 best wrestlers in the world, which is very different to favourite wrestlers, as has been pointed out on Twitter.
And where can you buy this excellent publication? My God, the print quality is
It's
superb.
so great, isn't it?
Feels good. I'm not even joking. I like to just touch the magazine sometimes.
Yeah.
The WrestleTalk 100, I mean, some people take against him, but we're particularly big fans. Was mentioned by Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio.
Wasn't it just?
I ran into my bedroom where my lady partner was asleep. Sorry to reference the fact that we have lady partners.
For God's sake, Ollie, always bringing it up.
And I was like, rewind, 10-second back button. Listen to it. I don't care if you're asleep. Listen to it again.
Was she impressed?
No, she didn't know what was going on. She was asleep.
Who is this man?
Yeah, why are you in here? I thought you were at work.
I'm not allowed to listen to Wrestling Observer Radio in the house. Because my wife hates Brian Alvarez's voice, and she just goes, I can't even begin to understand why you would listen to this man for an hour.
That's not very nice.
Isn't it just?
So today, yes, of course, that magazine, you can order that in the link in the video description below. It's a different shop site to the t-shirts, so if you want to get a t-shirt as well, you have to click a different link. It's all in the video description, but it's superb. It's available now, and yeah, the 100 best wrestlers. Do you want to talk about this? Because that was controversial. We did a lot of top 10 stuff over the Christmas period while we were away, and Luke you got a bit of stick. I got a text from him on last Friday that said, wow, people take top 10 lists really seriously.
Well, yeah, because I think you and I approached it very differently. And that you approached it
correctly.
Well, you did it as the 10 best wrestlers in the world. But I think me doing a separate list would have been pointless because it would have just been filled with the 10 same people. Because, let's be honest, the best wrestlers in the world are Okada, Omega, blah, 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 blah. It's the same list. So I looked at it, I was like, well, actually, I'm just going to look at my favourite wrestlers of the year because that's it's a more subjective list. There's a bit more conversation to be had from there. People were very upset by that. Did not see where I was coming from, despite the fact I kept saying favourite throughout the video. People just did not get on with that. So people took issue with the fact that I had Alexa Bliss in there, who is one of my favourite wrestlers at the moment, because I just think she's absolutely superb.
We'll get on to the 10th best wrestler in the world, according to Luke Cohen in the Raw review.
10th favourite wrestler in the world. Is two very different things. There were certain people who followed me on Twitter specifically to tell me that I was wrong.
I'm sorry about that.
It's quite
I'll tell my mum to stop too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she does send some horrible things sometimes. And it was just... It was incredible, really, because this is my first year doing kind of these sort of top 10 lists, and I was just amazed at how seriously people take it. What really made me laugh, actually, was on your top 10 matches of all time, the majority of the complaints were just oh, well, this is just a load of indie matches and New Japan matches. Where are the WWE matches? And then mine, which had more WWE matches, just oh, don't you watch New Japan? Don't you watch Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I mean, people are never going to be completely satisfied. I got to figure this out when the channel wasn't as large last Christmas and adjusted these, because you just make something for you, don't you? And you think, oh, this is fine. I really like this. I've explained myself really well. And then you put it out. And then there is a different level of scrutiny to the way you would go over a script and myself. And then, tens of thousands of people doing it. So that's where it can be poked full of holes you didn't necessarily recognise, or maybe you thought you explained it well and you didn't. So yeah, it's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve. I just thought it was really funny that there was one comment that I got on Twitter that really made me laugh, which was just he was again very upset that I didn't have Okada or Omega in my 10 favourite wrestlers of the year. And he made the point, because I said, like, mate, it's just a subjective list. Like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It really isn't worth you getting this upset and tweeting me all this much. And he made the point, quite a correct point, really, which is that, yeah, it is a subjective list, but your opinions are wrong in that Lionel Messi is arguably the greatest footballer in the world. But you might like your mate Dave better. And I'm like, yeah, but my mate Dave is pretty good at football. That's where the difference sort of lies.
Yeah.
And I appreciate and I understand that Okada is a better wrestler than Alexa Bliss.
And your mate Dave.
And my mate Dave is not as good a footballer as Lionel Messi. However, I like my mate Dave, and I really like Alexa Bliss.
So, congratulations, you managed, in a subjective list, you managed to be objectively wrong. Let's get on with the reviews.
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
So, Raw kicked off this week with a Kurt Angle in-ring promo recapping everything that's happened. It's the way we ended 2017 with authority figures in WWE TV. So why not carry that momentum through?
It's, when you start writing it and that little paperclip comes over, it's like, it looks like you're trying to write an episode of Raw. Can I help? And you're like, yep, Kurt Angle promo, bullet points, here's what we're looking to cover. Although he did make one new announcement in this, as opposed to just recapping what was on last week, which is that the Royal Rumble, featuring the ladies, is going to be a 30-person Rumble.
So that's a pretty big announcement, and it's something that everyone was questioning because there were some reports that it was going to be a 15-person match, a half Rumble. What would you call it? Like a Princess Rumble?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Then it was 20, maybe 30. This is a big deal, to me at least, and I think to a lot of other fans.
Absolutely.
And here it was just a line in a recap and then the actual starting wrestling angle, the storyline bit. So it did seem a bit throwaway, and considering how much they forced the initial announcement down everyone's throats, I'm going to get in a weird state where I'm going to criticise WWE for making too big a deal, or not, that's incorrectly presenting the first announcement, but then not making a big enough deal of this one.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting because I thought they made a fairly big deal about it. But not like in the sense of...
Throughout the rest of the night.
Throughout the rest of the night, yeah. Like, it was a case of Kurt Angle came out and he said that, there's the Women's Royal Rumble is going to happen at the end of the month, and people are wondering what the rules are going to be, and it's going to be just like them. And for me, I was like, this is great, because my real worry about this, we're going to have a 20-woman Rumble, and it's through the middle rope eliminations, like the way they used to do. Well, that's the way they used to do Women's Battle Royals, wasn't it? Like, you didn't have to go over the top rope, you just had to go through the rope, so you could go under the bottom rope and you would be eliminated. And I was like, if you're going to do this, because this whole piece is about equality, which is the best reason to be doing this, let's not do a half-assed version of this. Let's just do this the same way. And I have seen a lot of people getting a little bit stinky about this, saying that
a little bit poo-poo.
A little bit poo-poo, saying like, oh, it's just going to be a massive bodge fest, which I really disagree with. If this had been done 15 years ago, then absolutely it would have been a botch fest, because they used to botch battle royals all the time. However, it's a very different product now, and a very different roster of wrestlers, and I think that these women could very capably do this match. And let's also not forget, this will be choreographed to the nines. Like, they will be going...
Which means they can't handle it when they're not well prepared when something goes wrong.
No, exactly.
So if something does go wrong, it does have the potential to throw off the rest of the match, and there will be botches there. I disagree somewhat. They are obviously a lot better than they were 15 years ago.
Even 10 years ago. Even 5 years ago.
Even a couple of years ago. Even last month. But to say that this is quite easily going to be a botch-free fest, I don't have much faith in that.
But the men's rumble gets botched all the time as well. Yeah. So it's hardly a case of that every men's rumble goes really smoothly. Just ask Titus O'Neil.
What I like, this feels like a bigger announcement, though, that you could at least make a deal of. So maybe Kurt doesn't come out at the start, or he does just to set up the opening thing, and he says later on we're going to announce the rules of the Women's Royal Rumble. And then you build it up throughout the night, and then you have an actual proper segment in like hour 2 where you have a returning WWE lady legend, Mae Young.
No, she's dead, mate. She died a few years ago.
I thought she was still revolutionising women's wrestling.
No, that's Stephanie McMahon.
So have her come out, the lead star, right? And then announce it that way.
Yeah.
And then you could have a proper stare down. I don't say. It's just a line, though. But an underutilized line. So what happened? Oh, actually, Alexa Bliss was backstage before Raw kicked off, and was trying to get out of her match with Asuka.
Yeah, it was, because this is when they kind of revealed there are going to be some quite big matches in tonight's show, including Alexa Bliss versus Asuka.
The
10th best wrestler in the world versus the 5th best wrestler in the world, I hasten to add. And Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe for the Intercontinental Championship. I was like, this is actually quite a big night. Although I was surprised at Bliss versus Asuka just randomly on this episode of Raw, but we'll come on to that later. But then Kurt told her that we've got to settle these things in the ring. I've got to go settle my own thing in the ring, which is recapping what we've already announced. But he was then interrupted by The Bar.
The Bar.
Sheamus and Cesaro came out to kind of talk about nepotism and say that the only reason that Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins won the titles last week was because Kurt Angle is showing favoritism towards his son.
Yeah. Favoritism was the word. I don't think they used nepotism once.
But I would be surprised if writers knew what that word meant.
I think they know what they just patronise the audience. They could have used a more applicable word. I'm being really nitpicky. I'm focusing in on just one word here. Okay, I'm going to ease up a bit. Because I love Jason Jordan. I love everything they're doing with him, and the storyline, really sucks that Dean Ambrose is out injured for so long. But what a way to find some silver lining in this dark cloud of putting Jordan with Rollins. They become the champions, the tag champions together. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with his character.
It's really funny as well, because when we did one of the pre-recorded episodes late last year, we were talking about what's next for Seth Rollins, and you mentioned maybe a tag team with Jason Jordan, because that's what they've been doing on the house shows. And I was like, I don't know, that seems like a bit of a redundant way to kind of go through the storyline. I've completely take that back now, because if this is step 1, or technically step 2, I suppose, I'm all in. I'm really, really enjoying this, and it's mostly down to Jordan being so good.
Yeah, and it's just so Seth's really showing his architect persona, and he's trying to teach Jordan, no, you've got to approach this with strategy. Don't run down when the bar and you've got a 2-on-1 disadvantage. I'm your tag partner. Come and get me. We'll go out together. Be sensible. But Jordan's like, no, I've got a birthright, and I'm really good, and I just deserve all these shots, and I'll face anyone.
Yeah.
When really, that's a noble babyface fighting spirit thing to do, but he's a heel. He's just a spoilt brat on the inside. He's Kylo Ren.
There's a wonderful moment just before the match started, and Cesaro just bum rushes him, and he falls out the ring. And Seth is just standing over there going, told you, this is what happens.
Yeah, so this turned into Jason Jordan versus Cesaro. I listened to the Wrestling Observer review of this, and they weren't into it at all. I really, really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Because it was a strange dynamic. Technically, it was heel versus heel, and that didn't make the crowd that invested into it. But, it was a typical Cesaro match, focusing on a body part and only working over that body part for ages. I think it was Jordan's left leg.
His knee,
which Jordan's got trouble with, And it's hard for the crowd to get into either guy, because you've been told not to like either guy, really, in the storytelling. But I got more of a feeling that it's like a movie where you don't like the central character, but you're fascinated by the central character, so you are very interested and invested in everything they do, Taxi Driver or Wolf of Wall Street. These horrible characters, but you're like, I want to see how you behave in this.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have just really done a very in-depth look and kind of overview of this storyline and this match, and I thought that was a really, really interesting and very brainy way to look at this. I've written here, Booker T chance, it's going to be one of those nights. There's also Rusev Day chance. And then at one point, Booker T said that this is the first time a makeshift team has won the belt in their first match. And I haven't done any research, but I'm I'm almost certain that's not true. As I'm pretty sure
the Swaff Nation will research that for you.
Well, absolutely, but one of them I'm almost certain of is John Cena and David Otunga when Cena was part of Nexus.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they won the tag belts together. Cena and one of the members of Nexus did anyway.
I'm not going to get into this. But the crowd did chant Daddy's Boy at
Yeah,
Jordan,
they certainly
which was
did, yeah.
an appropriate chant,
Yeah.
at least not for someone who wasn't in the building. The crowd weren't good for the whole night.
No, they were very... They popped... They were really hot at the start. As I said, like chanting for Booker T, Rusev Day, and I thought, man, it's going to be one of those nights. But then, like, they just sort of petered out for the rest of the show, particularly during the Bliss-Asuka match, which was a real shame.
Well, that was a poorly put together match, I think.
The crowd was super into Seth, though. Like, they were kind of like murmurs during the match, but as soon as Seth got involved, the crowd popped huge for him.
It's like the crowd wanted to have fun. I'm always on the crowd side because I think the crowd have paid their money. I think WWE should put on a good show, and it's up to WWE to make the crowd good, not the other way round. Though that's not always the case. I feel like the energy was definitely there for the crowd, but when you start things off with a promo from Kurt Angle and backstage stuff and main event beforehand, sometimes you do get bored out by WWE.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But I think this could be a very, very cool story.
I'm really fascinated to see where the Jordan Rollins Angle triangle goes. I just hope they can get away from the bar and do something else. Roman Reigns was up next with a promo. He was telling Renee Young he's going to beat up Samoa Joe in their Intercontinental title match because Joe's a punk.
He is. This was a nice and short promo, heavily scripted, stiflingly delivered, but it was short, and that's the key to it.
Yeah, because after this promo, I was like, that wasn't too bad. And then Samoa Joe's one later, and I was like, "Oh no, that's a promo."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Joe's promo later was magic.
Very, very good. Bray Wyatt was up next, facing Apollo Crews.
I've written here longer match than I would have thought.
Yeah,
this went quite a long time.
Yeah, that's a story of a few of the matches on this show, and last week as well. And I like long matches, but they seem to be killing off the crowd a bit.
Crowd was dead during this match. Absolutely dead. But on the plus side of things, Apollo Crews looked pretty good.
Well, Michael Cole told us 2018 is going to be a really good year for Apollo Crews.
I doubt it.
Well, it's just like, it obviously isn't. So when Michael Cole says that, I think, well, you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. You're an idiot, Michael Cole, that you've told me that. That's blatantly true. It's the whole double-speak argument again. So why should I believe anything you say? You're supposed to be an expert, not a salesman, and you're coming off like a used car salesman in this way.
Particularly later on in the show when he's just like, man, Elias is the best singer. He's going to give us the best. Every time it's just like, oh, this is like Woodstock, and I'm like, but it's not, Michael Cole. Again, you're causing distrust.
Yeah. So a lead play-by-play announcer really needs credibility, and Michael Cole has none, and I don't think he can ever get it back. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm in a bad mood.
You are in a bad mood. What's happened, man?
I don't know. I just, I quite enjoyed the TV this week as well, overall, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one here with chronic toothache. I should be the one who should be in, like, really miserable. But I'm trying to look at the bright side of things. I thought Apollo Crews looked pretty good. I thought Dana Brooke falling into Titus O'Neil was quite funny.
Yeah, so Titus Worldwide were ringside. Sorry, Titus Worldwide were ringside. And they added to the match, I thought. Dana Brooke as doing a statistics.
Statistician, I think, is, I think.
Statistician.
CTV to say.
And Titus O'Neil were there. And Bray Wyatt was, occasionally staring at Dana Brooke in a, I'm gonna, I don't know, eat you way.
He's the eater of worlds.
And that could be interpreted in many different ways.
Couldn't adjust.
The Apollo lost, as we all knew he would, and then Woken Matt Hardy appears on the Titantron.
Yep.
Ooh, and he cuts a promo.
I have written here, he says stuff.
Which used to be Bray Wyatt's thing.
Yeah.
It's a shame because when Matt Hardy's, I don't think Woken or Broken Matt Hardy promos are gibberish. I think they have a really fascinating internal logic and they build up this wonderful mythology. This one, it didn't connect with me. I didn't feel like he added anything to previous weeks. The only new cool thing he did was get broken into multiple screens.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's what I got from it.
All I could think of was, you remember that joke in Wayne's World when he's asking Cassandra about being with Benjamin, and she goes, "Where did you hear this?" He goes, "Oh, you hear it from friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on, and so on. And that was the only thing I could think of then for the rest of the promo.
It
was
could
just
be
like,
that.
I should go and watch Wayne's World. That's a really great film.
Yeah, that's you don't want to sell a match. You want to sell a movie from the 90s.
From 1992.
Yeah. So this was... and then it cuts... So you pointed out yesterday to me, it didn't cut to the announcers going, oh, that's a bit stupid, which was really good because that makes... At least it makes this feel like an actual feud rather than something we should laugh at. Mm-hmm. But it did cut back to Bray Wyatt with the sort of look on his face where he's like, what's happening?
What is going on here?
What's going on? Which I didn't really mind because Bray Wyatt's usually put in this place. No, Bray Wyatt is putting people in this place, sorry. And now he's sort of having the crazy tables turned on him.
Yeah, maybe.
So I did enjoy it, but it isn't like, I mean, when Woken Hardy first was teased, I don't think anyone thought it would be here, several weeks later.
Well, this is the thing, is that we said a couple of weeks ago that, man, I hope this is going to change up a little bit, and yeah, I still feel like I'm waiting for this to change up a little bit.
Needs another gear.
Yeah.
But it will probably be in a holding pattern until...
Royal
205
Rumble.
Live
205 Live tour, yeah, of course.
Nia Jax, we're going to talk about this now, was next bringing Enzo Amore soup backstage, chicken soup, because he's got the flu, which is a shoot.
Yes,
he apparently turned up at Raw and they sent him home because he had the flu and he wanted to compete, but yeah, they sent him back.
What a fighting champion!
Yeah, which is like the one good backstage story I've ever heard about Enzo Amore.
I'm sure Corey Graves will find a way to turn it round, though.
So Nia's very concerned.
Showed up to try and give us all the flu.
Yeah. She's trying to, I guess, leave the building to get the chicken soup to Enzo. And Alexa Bliss is like, oh, you're going to help me out in my match against Asuka later. And she's like, oh, but Enzo needs the soup. And Alexa's like, but, it's either me or Enzo. And she chooses Enzo.
She certainly did.
Which, I don't know how that plays in the... It was a nice moment because Alexa is left alone against this... her opponent later on. But I didn't know Nia and Enzo's relationship was at the phase where she can visit him in hospital ill. In my mind, they haven't even broached a date yet. They haven't even kissed.
That's very true. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one, yeah.
So I thought that was...
Shows you how invested I am in this storyline, that I didn't give that any thought.
I'm pretty invested in that storyline. So then we had...
With your T-shirt just behind you.
Yeah. Then we had Asuka versus Alexa Bliss. Do you want to take this away? Because these are two of the wrestlers in the world.
Now, maybe I really am in the minority here, but I really liked this match. And I thought this was... You're right.
Yeah, just trying to hold in guffaws.
I really liked this match. I thought it was my only thing I would say about this was that this should have been saved for the pay-per-view. I was waiting, when Alexa Bliss, or when Asuka was making her entrance, I was waiting for Absolution to do a run-in, or to break it up, or for this match not to happen. All I kept thinking was like, well, this match they can't be doing this match now, because that is stupid to be doing this now, when you could be saving this for further down the line. Maybe once Asuka's won the Royal Rumble, and then you lead towards her eventual match at WrestleMania. But nope, they started the match, and then I was like, oh no, this is still going.
Yeah. And
so yeah, this should have been safe for pay-per-view, and a better crowd would have made this match better. But because the crowd were absolutely dead, it felt like nothing was building in the match. However, I really enjoyed the story that they told. I thought that it was, Asuka looked really great. I thought that Bliss played her part really, really well. Overall, I thought this was quite a success, but it should have been saved for down the line.
Yeah, totally agree with saving it for a pay-per-view because, first off, no build. It's just here. I thought this was, I thought they were steadily building Asuka up for this shot.
Yeah.
Why would you give... I mean, it's non-title, but, you get what I mean.
Well, maybe this is going to suggest then that Paige will be champion come WrestleMania rather than Bliss.
Potentially, or Ronda Rousey. I mean, you don't know, do you?
No, we were saving that for SummerSlam, remember?
Oh, are we? And they had... It's like, why would you put the undefeated streak up against a champion? So I know the title wasn't on the line, but you don't really want to beat your champions.
No.
So why would you book yourself into a corner like that? So I guess you either had a screwy finish and you have a run-in, or just don't book it.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's the Ryback CM Punk thing. Hell in a Cell a couple of years ago when Punk was champion, and it's like, well, Punk needs to stay champion because he needs to lose to The Rock come Royal Rumble, but Ryback is really hot, so we need to put him into this match. But we don't want Ryback to lose because he's an undefeated streak. But Punk can't lose. But it's a Hell in a Cell, so we can't do a DQ. The referee's screwy.
Get Brad Maddox on the phone.
Exactly, yeah, and then. It just completely killed all of Ryback's momentum. But there's a simple way around that. Don't book yourselves into that corner. Yeah. And they could have done that same thing here.
So although I really like when Ryback did just turn up at the end of that Raw to set up the match. I think that's another thing. So the actual match itself, I liked that they got a lot of time, but 16 minutes for an Alexa Bliss match, I don't think, I don't rate her as highly, her in-ring work as highly as you do. It obviously made the crowd bored. I had a problem because there was a lot of stalling. Alexa would roll out the ring and sort of walk away from Asuka a lot, which is good. That tells a story that Bliss is afraid of Asuka. Unfortunately, it saps an already sapping crowd. This was a crowd that wanted to have fun, but you are just slowly really draining the energy out of them.
Yeah.
So the way to, my favourite way of stalling that I've ever seen is Macho Man back in the 80s when he was a heel. But Bully Ray, more recently, he would get out the ring before he has to fight someone, keep on dragging it out, whipping the crowd into a frenzy and just shouting at fans who were, giving them lip at ringside. But Alexa Bliss wasn't doing that, and she has the capacity to do it because she is, the nasty queen bitch. But she didn't. She just walked around scared. Whereas I would have liked to have seen her go to the outside and deflect her fear by shouting at the audience, and then you can whip up the crowd that way. But that's not the way. WWE don't seem to like crowd participation unless Stephanie McMahon leads you in a chant.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm got to be honest, I was bored of the match. I thought it went on way too long.
I liked it. I have my issues with it, but I liked it overall.
Well, something we do both agree on is what came next, and that is Samoa Joe's hell of a promo of the week, promo, therefore, of the year.
Yeah, this is
the best wrestling promo of the year.
I said it earlier, but I will say it again. This was magic. This promo not only exposed Roman Reigns for being the promo that he is, this exposed, I would say, almost all of WWE. In terms of their promos, because this didn't feel like a scripted promo.
No.
This just felt like a pissed off dude who was about to go out and hurt someone, and it was awesome. Joe is so good on the mic, and he's so good in the ring. He's absolutely awesome. I'm really hoping there's some big things for him this year.
Yeah, he really deserves it, because I don't think WWE backstage ever saw him at this level, and to be honest, they're probably, they're probably dragging him back a bit. I think if you strap the rocket to Joe, he could be a legit main eventer.
Absolutely.
But like not a megastar main eventer, but like a pretty up there, just below Reigns and Cena and Brock Lesnar, because he's got that authenticity. He's a great promo. He's a great wrestler. He's got a presence. Have you seen the video online of the kid going crazy for just Samoa Joe's entrance music?
No.
It's this 8-year-old kid standing on his chair, and it's Samoa Joe's entrance music. That's all that's happening in the arena, and he is just going, Joe, Joe, Joe. So it's like he appeals to kids as well. He appeals to everyone because he is authentic. But yeah, the best line of this promo, bearing in mind it was Renee Young doing the backstage interview, the real life wife of the injured Dean Ambrose, who Samoa Joe kayfabe injured. Because of me, the Shield will never be champions together. Because of me, Dean Ambrose is now a stay-at-home husband living off his wife's paycheck.
A beautiful line, a beautiful delivery, and a perfect reaction from Renee.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
She did enough of a reaction to show that she was annoyed, but she kept it back to be a professional.
Yes.
So it was so believable. And, that's a money line that sets up Dean's first feud in 9 months. Or that's if he comes back as a face.
Yeah, let's see if they remember it.
Yeah, good point. Next up, we have Braun Strowman beating Rhino. It was a match against Rhino, but Braun Strowman, being awesome, was like, "Are you going to stand outside and cheerlead?" Heath Slater, or are you going to get in and let me beat you up too?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact line, but he sort of talked about hands or something. But yeah, this was a fun little segment. Crowd were very much into this because they just wanted to see him throw running power slams, and he delivered in spades. Just kept doing them over and over and over again.
And you could tell that I think that was Strowman reacting to the crowd. He was connecting with the crowd, which WWE do seem to be allergic to because they played his music. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess they could play the music, but then be like,
yes,
do as many as you want. Or Braun Strowman's like, I'm just going to keep body slamming guys.
Yeah, it could have been Strowman, it could have been Rhino, it could have been Slater as the two WWE veterans.
Rhino, yeah.
Of just saying, like, do it again.
So 5 in total after the match.
Yeah, that's all he was doing. He was just throwing body slams and just getting more and more over the more he did it. Whatever happened to that storyline between Rhino and Heath Slater, they were going to get extreme or whatever.
Well, Rhino said, I'm going to toughen you up. And... so he faced Kane last week.
So I'm going to do that by having a match for you?
Yeah. Or maybe, watch me. I'm trying to explain their actions. This is made for backstage skits or vignettes where they train.
Said, yeah.
I know.
Oh, mate, it's a real shame. But we had another decent little backstage segment here.
Yes, we did.
With Roman and Seth Rollins talking about, them being Shield brothers, although Roman wasn't overly great, talking about, like, hey, you don't hurt a brother or something along those lines. But then you had the money man's Jason Jordan walk in and act like he was part of the Shield, like they were all now best buds because they're all champions. It was another great performance from Jason Jordan.
Yeah. And just the way... At the end, did he say anything?
He said, he goes, you can believe that, and walked away.
He just said it was such smarminess.
And, like, Roman sort of, like, sold it a little bit, but Seth Rollins' face of just like, did he really just say that? Man, it was so great.
Rollins and Jordan, I really hope, because, Seth has been two-dimensional for a while. I really hope this sort of brings something to him because he's got a lot to work here with Jordan. Well, and Rollins can perform.
It's okay. We're going to see more of this when Seth Rollins takes on Sheamus next week.
That was just excellent. Braun and Kane.
Before that, we had a little video package to hype up the 25 years of Raw because we got the Raw 25th wedding anniversary, Raw 25th anniversary coming up the next week. No,
it's the go home show for January.
Is it really?
For the Royal Rumble, 22nd of January.
Okay, so it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah. And they showed obviously the big moments of Raw. There were like Steve Austin in there. There was some John Cena stuff, but of course. It was the architects of the Attitude Era that they were showing this week, which was DX invading WCW, which, as we all know, as if you watch any of the Attitude Era documentaries, they will tell you started the war and more or less ended it.
In one failed invasion.
In one very small segment that they did 3 weeks after, each one progressively worse, and they never referenced them because they're all very bad or very racist.
And on the same show... They sort of capitalised on a Bullet Club thing, who invaded Raw last year.
Yes, they did.
And WWE reacted very badly and sent cease and desists.
Yep. So, there's always that. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Backstage, Braun runs into Kane.
This was so bad.
Kane, he just wanted to have a talk.
Yeah.
He wanted to have a talk about them being alpha monsters. Which is a term that you're not keen on.
Well, I don't think anyone in their right mind would be keen on. Like, why... First of all, it sounds terrible. Second of all, from a character perspective, Kane's verbiage is bad, but it's not alpha monster bad.
They're cartoon characters.
It is atrocious. Like, it undermines everything. So, but at the end of the day, that's only a word. Or a phrase, rather. What's really damaging here is that Braun and Kane are meant to be really viciously feuding with each other, and Kane just walks out and is like, hey, man, you want a backstage chat? Maybe we could team up, defeat the Beast, Incarnate, me and you. You literally tried to kill the guy just a few months ago. I would much prefer to see... Why aren't you telling the story of 3 really big... Look, no one wants to see this match, but if you're going to do it, why don't you tell the story of 3 very large, big, sweaty men all hating each other and all going at it? Why are you telling a story of all political intrigue? I'm going to backstab and make alliances. I don't want to see that from this feud.
What I want to see is the SummerSlam main events
Exactly.
again.
Exactly. So, yeah, that was bad. That was atrocious.
We had another backstage segment. God, we had quite a few of these, didn't we, in a row? But Kurt's on the phone talking with someone. I can't remember what he was talking about now. But in walks Finn Balor, who cuts not a great promo. And
It's not his strength.
It's not his strength. But do you know what? As I said in my Finn Balor video, if you don't think he's a good talker, don't have him cut promos. Just put someone else who can cut promo instead for him. So here we have. He's found some tag team partners. Who is it?
It's Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
Yep.
And everyone looks so happy. And the three of them were just grinning here. They were grinning in the match later on. All over social media, they're grinning. The closing too sweet of the match later on for the celebrations. Carl Anderson is trying to look mean, but he's obviously very happy.
Yeah.
Finn Balor is just beaming, and Luke Gallows is also beaming, really happy. We finally did it 2 years after we joined WWE.
It's so funny. I think Carl Anderson put something up on Twitter or Instagram or one of those things where he just said, he goes, patience. Eventually it will pay off. And it's true, because this was a moment, as soon as they walked in, the crowd popped really big for it, because this is kind of the team that we've been wanting them to do since Balor came back, and because he's had an absolutely awful 2017, really, aside from one match with AJ Styles. And we've just been like, God, man, you've got these two doing Nouts, you've got this guy doing Nouts, stop putting him in a bloody feud with Bray Wyatt, put these three together and let's work with this. And it's such a shame that this feels like a very short-term thing.
Do you think? I don't think it is, but it totally could be, because, you know, if this time next week and they're not together and it's never mentioned again, I can totally see that happening. But with the Dean Ambrose injury, and, you know, everything was built around the Shield reunion tour, a lot of the house show dates for the next few months, and now Dean Ambrose can't do those. And who's going to feud with the three-man faction of the Miz Taraj? And Miz is coming back next week. I feel like they're actually this is gonna be a unit, and I hope they get something resembling a push. And the Royal Rumble, like, what better thing to do in the Royal Rumble than have alliances and teams and factions and stare-offs?
Yeah, but you've already got that in the Women's Royal Rumble, though, because you've got Absolution and Riot Squad and the Welcoming Committee, so you don't want to do that same storyline in your other Rumble.
It doesn't have to be the same storyline. I think you can get away with it for the Rumbles.
I like you, because my Twitter was kind of like, it sort of blew up the following day with just like Balor Club debuts, and I didn't see it as a Balor Club debut. I saw it as, we need two guys to be in this match. This will be a fun thing for the crowd. Let's do it for this one show. Or Balor's going into a feud with The Miz. He's got the Miz Taraj, so we'll put Gallows and Anderson with him until that feud kind of comes to its natural conclusion, and then they can go their separate ways. The same when AJ Styles had the club.
Yeah.
It was just he only had the club because Roman had the family, or whatever it was, or like Roman only had the family because AJ had the club. So you just sort of do these as very short-term things, and then after a while you just sort of forget about it and you move on with your lives.
I'm not going to argue this, because I can totally see that happening. I'm going to go on the side of optimism.
I would love to go on the side of optimism, because
I want this to carry on.
But this is what I've been wanting for quite some time. As I said earlier, I think this is good. This is a great thing for all three guys. But I feel that if this was something they were planning to do long term, they would have made a bigger deal out of it, as opposed to it just being randomly announced in a backstage segment for a throwaway match against the Miz Taraj and Elias.
That's the problem, because I saw a lot of reaction to this episode of Raw being like, oh, best Raw in months. Obviously, it was the best Raw of 2018. Not going to make that joke again. But
love those jokes. You were doing
I do.
that all yesterday.
But it's like, it is good. So most of the people who liked the episode of Raw, it was mainly, Balor Club, they're finally together. Bullet Club in WWE. And they didn't have a build.
No.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just, if we were to say the same, like, they're together, it would be the same as us saying the Shield reunion was good.
Yeah.
When really it wasn't. It was sort of thrown together. There was no real reason for them to unite.
Actually, it was the Miz Taraj again.
It was the Miz Taraj again, and Braun Strowman and Kane.
No, that was later down the line.
That was later, yeah. So it's not a well thought out story, but because they haven't teamed together before in WWE, it has been a smart thing. Like, I don't know how much the wider mainstream audience knows about this connection.
No, but they were trying to do their best putting that over on commentary because they were like they've travelled the world, and this crowd. We'll get onto the match a bit later, but there was lots of Too Sweet chants, including the whoop whoop. So there is a portion. Bullet Club T-shirts they're worn at shows more than WWE T-shirts are at this point. So it feels like this is the sort of thing that can travel further than perhaps you're giving it credit for.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
So next up we had Roman Reigns taking on Samoa Joe in this Intercontinental title match. The story being, if Reigns is DQ'd, he'd lose the title. And that's after the previous week where Roman Reigns got DQ'd in that match.
Yeah, I thought this actually was going to lead to a Randy Orton Christian finish. That's what I was expecting. But,
so Joe taunting Reigns into getting DQ'd.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was expecting. But actually what we got was just a very, very good match.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, really great.
Went like 15, 20 minutes, good amount of time.
Easily match of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be until Wrestle Kingdom tomorrow.
In WWE.
But I thought all the stuff at the end with Reigns trying to use her steps and Joe being like, come on, please. Yeah. And the finish where the referee nearly disqualified Reigns and that played into the finish. But yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really like this. I thought it was a really great near fall from the Uranagi. Roman Reigns is very good at late kickouts. He's very, very good at that. And the crowd was so into this match. They were so into Reigns.
Eventually.
They were so into Reigns, they were so into Joe, and they were really into the match by the end of it. But that you say, like, eventually, that's just the WWE. It's the way they've been conditioned to react. You don't care about the start, you just care about the end.
So then it cuts backstage to Kurt Angle watching this from one of the most ridiculous angles.
I don't even think he was looking at the TV.
It was like, TV here, he's looking in the wrong direction.
He was looking at that poster for Country and Western or whatever that Shawn Michaels movie is.
Or maybe it's one of those curved TVs. So while we can see that corner, it actually curves all the way around.
Yeah, or he's just got two TVs set up.
And you can't see. Of course, that's what they're doing.
Of course.
Angle's watching this finish from the TV, and then Paul Heyman walks in and says, hey, if Kane and Braun Strowman team up, then Brock will be proactive, not reactive, implying that Brock will kill them both?
I guess so, yeah.
This was a bit weak. I don't know why it nagged at me, but
it's because you're very narky this
week.
Very
naggy this week. I thought, in sort of kayfabe terms, that Kane Braun conversation no one else could see. So how did... Because that happens all the time,
Yeah, I suppose.
So how does Paul Heyman know that they're plotting?
Maybe it's just his intuition. He's been in this game a long time. He knows these things.
It's not Alpha Monster, so I'm going to let that slide. Next up, we had Cedric Alexander. Oh, God, what happened here? Drew Gulak and Araya Daivari came out to read a prepared statement from Enzo Amore because he couldn't take on Cedric Alexander. Feels like this title match is going to get postponed indefinitely because Rich Swann was meant to originally face Enzo, but he got arrested. Yeah. And
I mean, let's be honest, it's going to happen on the Royal Rumble kickoff show, right?
Probably. That's the best place for it, I suppose. Or that amazing 205 Live tour I've heard so much about.
Yeah, with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy.
So the sad thing here is Drew Gulak does an amazing version of Enzo's usual kind of promo, but in Drew Gulak mode, where he's a couple of haters. A couple of haters.
Wait, a couple of haters. That's wrong. A couple of haters. Yeah. Very good. I loved that.
He's so good, but no one reacts to him.
Well, it's because it's the cruiserweights. Everyone knows not to care when the cruiserweights come out.
But
because
people care about Enzo.
Yeah, but Enzo wasn't a cruiserweight guy. He was a main roster star who has just gone into the cruiserweight star. That's why he seems like the biggest star there, is because he'd already been treated like a star before he got there. Because when Cedric's music hit, I mean, you can use the term a pin drop, but there was no pop whatsoever. It's like when Kalisto came back.
Oh my God, that was a misfire. I don't like Cedric Alexander's
Kalisto?
Music.
No, it gets stuck in my head. In the dark, never been alone.
So Cedric came out and said, well, excuse me, two of you, let's have a tag match then. Who's your tag partner going to be?
I was like, is it going to be TJ Perkins?
Yeah.
Where's he been? Is it going to be Kalisto? Is it going to be... I can't even think of any other baby faces they've got.
Mustafa Ali.
No. Oh, yes, Mustafa Ali. The one with the mask. Lindsay Dorado. It could have...
Grand Metalik.
Grand Metalik. It could have been any
All
one of them.
those guys.
Could have even been Zack Sabre Jr.
Hideo Itami.
They're pushing him at the moment. Could have been him. It could have been Pete Dunne. But who was it?
It was Goldust.
It was Goldust, which is a bit odd. I've written here, Goldust. How weird is that? What a weird selection.
I don't know what else there is to... I don't know what to say.
They did it again on 205 Live as well.
I don't know what to
Like, they tag teamed again on 205 Live. So is Goldust now part of the 205 Live brand? At 240?
No, I really hope... I really want them to drop the weight definitions of this division so you can have a more... people can move out and in, and it's not confined by this 205 weight limit. Although someone pointed out, gold, the substance of gold, is measured differently to human weight. So actually, in gold weight, he's under the 205 pound weight limit.
Oh man, why wasn't that on commentary?
Corey Graves should have been on that.
Corey Graves, or even Cole. I wouldn't have expected Booker T to come up with that, because Booker T was just talking about other stuff. But if either of those had said that, I'd have gone, right, I'm in. That's fine. Okay. I buy into that now. That's really clever.
Yeah, and Goldust for the new champion.
Yeah, congratulations to whoever said that. This isn't quite helping my 2018 prediction of Goldust getting one final big run, though.
No, or maybe this is the start, because they pointed this out on Wrestling Observer Radio, and Goldust was by far the most over person in this match. Even when he did the hot tag back to Cedric Alexander for the finish, the crowd went completely fell flat again. And it's like Goldust, although he is a nostalgia act and he's got good heat from that, he is so far at the bottom of Raw's roster, but he's at the top of 205 Live.
Yeah.
In terms of reaction. It really condemns
him and
205
Enzo.
Live,
Yeah. Which is a real shame, I suppose. What really happened to Goldust's heel turn?
I don't know. What is there to say? So then we had the Balor Club. The Balor Club's match.
The grinning Balor Club. The happiest tag team in the world.
We're going to be dastardly, kind of semi-tweener heel faces, but we're really happy about it.
I haven't seen Finn Balor smile this much since I saw him have a photo next to a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like, he was just beaming from ear to ear while he was making his entrance.
That thing he does where he just stands very straight.
Yeah, but
just
he was
like that. Yeah.
This big smile on his face. He's like, I'm getting to tag with my best friends now. It's going to be great.
So Elias was doing some performing in the middle, and the Miz Taraj came out and did some a rendition of Old Lang Syne.
Yep.
It was brilliantly bad.
It was brilliantly bad.
Curtis Axel was... maybe he's a really, really, really good singer, because I think to be that bad, you have to know all the ways to sing.
Well, did you know, have you ever heard the story from School of Rock? The film, the great Richard Linklater
It's
film.
an amazing film.
It is an amazing film, but one of the best of all time, right? So the character Summer in that, there's a gag in that when she tries to sing and she sings very badly. In actuality, the little girl that played Summer is a really great singer. She was very good, and it took her... Richard Linklater had to say it was one of those, like, this is how you sing badly. Because when you're a really good singer, it's very difficult for you to know how to not sing properly. Like you and I, not the world's greatest singers, so we can sing badly. It's fine.
We're fine with that.
Yeah. So maybe it was something like that. Maybe someone had to take him aside and be like, look, this is how you sing badly, if indeed he is a very good singer.
Because he's Mr. Perfect Son.
And
he should be good at everything.
And exactly. And as we know, Mr. Perfect had a very successful music career for that one brief moment in WCW when they decided not to capitalise on that. But this was quite fun. It reminded me, actually, of the first time you showed me your Nia Jax entrance music video, when you were just like, you were always off time with everything.
I thought I was on time.
I was like, well, that's quite bad. But it's mostly just because you're offbeat with everything you need to be saying.
I thought it was bad. I didn't know it was as bad as Luke told me it was. So that was a bit.
It wasn't just
my
me.
Music career.
It wasn't just me.
It went down very well with everyone else.
No.
They all said it was amazing.
The first draft you did.
Oh, the first draft, yeah.
Yeah. No, your final one was fine.
So yeah, this was the Balor Club made short work really of this 6-man tag.
Yeah.
And yeah, they celebrated with their grins.
Also, I've written here, of course, Axel dominates Finn.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was like, didn't they win? Then they won with the Magic Killer and then the coup de grace off the top.
But they only started to win when the
Gallows was
Gallows and Anderson came in. Yeah, Gallows in particular, the big one.
Yeah, so still not. We'll get there. Come on, WWE. You've got something. All you just need is to run with it. The crowd want to cheer. We want to get behind them. And then the main event.
Oh yeah, this was a bad main event to Raw. A main event segment, we should say. This was a very standard Paul Heyman promo. If Brock Lesnar has ever been in a multi-person match, you can guarantee that Paul Heyman has cut this promo before. Yeah, it was a stock Paul Heyman promo. It came and it's great because Paul Heyman's great, but it was just not really a lot to say. And then Kane's music hit, and then Kane came down. There was a chokeslam. Brock did the Undertaker sit-up. They had a very weak pull-apart brawl.
Well, the laugh.
And the laugh as well, yeah.
Brock Lesnar laughed as he sat up.
Then they did a weak pull-apart brawl, and then the show ended. And I was like, okay, no brawn? No brawn? Like, I was expecting a big three-way, like, alpha monster melee. But we didn't get that at all. We just got a very, very lame pull-apart brawl that, I didn't think was particularly good.
Yeah, I guess, like... I mean, you've got a few more weeks until Royal Rumble. Maybe you want the three-way brawl to be your big go-home one, and that's when you have the locker room empty. Really overused now, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because it can be very effective when deployed at the right time. But this was... It just felt so weak when Kane was pulled apart from... Brock.
Exactly. If you are going to do the three-way brawl later on, which you probably should do, maybe the go-home show or the 25th anniversary show, your go-home angle, fine, do it then. Don't do the pull-apart brawl with the locker room emptying this week.
Yes.
Just do Kane chokeslamming him, walking up the ramp, and him doing the Undertaker sit-up and laughing, and just end the show there. Yeah,
I totally agree. Although, I did really, really like Brock laughing, because I thought that spoke directly back to... Brock's SummerSlam match with the Undertaker, where they're both laughing at each other, and Undertaker's like,
yes,
and then they start hitting each other, which is one of my all-time favorite WWE memories.
Yep.
And Brock ended Taker's streak. Kane is Undertaker's brother. I just thought, I mean, maybe they didn't intend this at all, but I really, really liked that. I thought that was a nice moment of continuity.
It's a Smackdown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Smackdown Live opened with an AJ Styles.
Let me guess. Was it Shane and Daniel Bryan bickering?
Yes, it was.
Yes. Okay.
But it was. It does feel like SmackDown's in a bit of a treading water period at the moment with their main feud. But I think they are adding a little bit more each week.
I mean, it's their one and only storyline. So, yeah, I mean, I really like this kind of dynamic. I thought it was much better in the main event. But here, it was just when AJ came out, I was like, okay, this is a bit different. AJ's opening the show. Lovely stuff.
He's going to recap what happened last week.
And he almost did. Yeah. But then when Bryan and Shane came out, I was like, eesh, man, like, I've seen this. Like, we don't have to start every single week building the storyline in the same format.
So, I really wish they did, like, with larger arcing stories that are told over months. You don't actually have to tell that story every week. You can have, like, everyone take a break and fight in different matchups like they would in a actual combat sport. I'm just going to fight this match this week because it's the match I've been scheduled to fight. But no, it's just the same loop of stuff that
pretty much, yeah.
You get
but
trapped into.
Styles said that he will still be WWE champion come WrestleMania.
These were his New Year's resolutions,
and he will main event the show. There's a certain big dog that will disagree with that one and make sure that he does not stick to that resolution. But I reckon he will be champion come WrestleMania.
So then he called out Daniel Bryan to to explain himself for letting Sami Zayn be at ringside last week, which was why AJ lost to Kevin Owens. And Bryan comes out, but before he gets a chance to answer,
Shane McMahon comes out and says
Shane
says exactly what AJ Styles had just said, but says, I also want to know.
Shane, he just wants to recap. Let the man recap. So the crowd both chanted for Bryan and Shane, and in fact, AJ Styles was super over as well.
Yep.
When he came out, and it just shows at the start of these WWE TV events, the crowd want to cheer. But they are... I have real sympathy for the crowds, and I just think they're beaten down with short squash matches or too long matches that aren't that interesting, and loads of in-ring promos and backstage segments.
Yeah, but essentially Shane McMahon sort of said some stuff, and he accused Bryan of colluding with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, like they're forming some sort of an alliance. I really like this chapter of the story this week, in particularly Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan said very little in this promo because he wasn't allowed to. Because Shane kept stealing the spotlight. AJ had asked him to come out, but Shane came out and said, like, well, no, I want to know as well. And then Shane just kept talking, and Daniel Bryan was just like, hey, if you're going to be at ringside, so am I.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was it. And then later on in the night, I loved his final promo and the way that he said things and the way that he acted throughout the match, kind of further teasing this heel turn. I'm using big air quotes for podcast listeners, and this kind of alliance that he might be doing with Kevin and Sami. Or is he doing an alliance with Kevin and Sami? It's because he has said in previous weeks that he wants nothing to do with them. But it's just a really, really interesting dynamic.
I really don't know what way they're going to go, and multiple ways all seem equally rational.
Yeah.
So really good work by setting up lots of different spinning plates, but they'll probably reveal Chad Gable is someone's son and give it something no one wanted.
I mean, I got no issue with this storyline at the moment, and I actually have a lot of faith that it's going to play out really well. I'm really excited for their match at the Royal Rumble. But you're right, they got these spinning plates. My only issue with it, though, is that they're focusing on these spinning plates, and the rest of the card just suffers because of that. It's the same problem they've had since Survivor Series. They haven't had any other storylines.
And Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, before then, crikey. So all you have are just feuds, and again, I'm using big air quotes for podcast listeners, because like Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode didn't have a storyline; they just had a match.
Dolph Ziggler was just added out of nowhere,
yeah, and then he won, and then he left. And that doesn't really feel like that's much of a storyline. Now we just got a bunch of matches to set up a new champion.
Rusev Day and New Day are feuding over the word day.
I think, and pancakes.
And
you've got the Riot Squad feuding with all of the other women, which is just it's been the same thing week in, week out.
And Monday to Tuesday, because it's the same thing on Raw. Well, it's sort of changed in recent weeks.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll add here is that Shane and Bryan played their roles very well, although Shane, when the crowd were going crazy at the start, and they were going like, Daniel Bryan, or yes, or whatever it was, and chanting for Shane as well, Shane just flattened them out. And he dulled all the chants by doing a Shane promo, which isn't really engaging, and it was pretty flat.
What up, Orlando?
Yeah. But then AJ at the end really conveyed him being quite annoyed by these two authority figures, which plays into the main event.
Really does, yeah.
So the first match was the Usos taking on American Beta, Shelton Benjamin, and Chad Gable. This was because American Beta won the number one contenders match the previous week, but it really should have been Rusev Day.
Yeah.
The crowd chanted along with Usos Penitentiary, which I haven't heard them do before.
I think they've done it a couple of times now. But this was very, very quick action to start. Like this was explosive. They did about 12,000 moves before the first ad break, and then I went back and checked.
Which was only a minute.
The first ad break came 34 seconds into the match, but they did so many moves in those 34 seconds. Like there were dives, there was a moonsault, there was a top rope suplex. It was all loads of stuff in that first 34 seconds.
It was because you got 4 minutes of ads for the rest holds.
Exactly, yeah.
Now you can see the rest holds in the screen at the top. Don't want to miss the rest holds in the ad break.
God, heaven forbid.
But they came back, and then they only had about 2 minutes of action, and American Beta won.
Yes, they did, but... So...
I genuinely thought that was the finish.
So did I.
For a moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the... are you doing?
Yeah, they just put the belts randomly on them in a match. Because I've written here, that should have been on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because this match on pay-per-view would be really good if you're given like 15 minutes where you don't have ad breaks that kind of like force you into having a 15-minute match in a 2-minute period. But they threw one of the Usos into the barricade, went in, hit their top ropes move, and pinned him. But then, and this... I try not to use too many naughty words in here.
Not naughty Luke.
Naughty Luke. But this pissed me off. Because this another referee came down and told the ref that was officiating the match, Chad Gable wasn't the legal man, and the one who's outside the ring is the legal man. This guy in here isn't the legal man. That fall shouldn't have counted. And the ref was like, oh, sorry, my mistake. Went over to Greg Hamilton and said, like, oh, sorry, my bad. We're going to restart this match. And then it went in, and the Usos won and retained their tag titles. Why this pissed me off is because you can't just pull this out. Because they'll probably never do this again. So when there's now dodgy officiating down the line, or all the dodgy officiating that's happened previously, you're like, well, why didn't another ref come out and say, that was wrong? You missed that person cheating. You missed this bit of interference. This person had a visual pin. Like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens last week. Like AJ had Kevin Owens pinned, but the referee missed it because he was distracted, and then Kevin Owens won. Why didn't a ref come down and be like, you missed the pinfall? AJ actually had that match won, but there was cheating and shenanigans, and now so the wrong guy won. And later on in this night, in this very same show, there was screwy officiating, but no ref came down and said, like, you missed that visual pinfall there.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent.
It's so inconsistent.
I mean, that is... I do agree with you completely, but the side of my brain that says, but it's wrestling, these things happen, switch that bit off. What annoyed me more was that it took another referee to come out and say that to the referee to restart the match. Why weren't the Usos absolutely outraged?
They were.
But they weren't screaming. I felt like that the referee should have been persuaded to review the footage by the Usos being so incredulous rather than another referee. Because then you've just, like, the heat should be with the Usos.
Well, I really don't think you should have introduced, like, replay footage. I mean,
it's going to be
did
bad
because the
way.
ref pointed to the screen and said, like, look, I've already queued up the footage for you to have a look at. I thought this was this storyline this finish made no sense.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like the booking of the finish.
No, I didn't either.
But it was good action. The Usos won shortly after the restart. One last bit. Greg Hamilton, when he introduced the championship match, he's the ring announcer, did not say one fall at all.
No,
Usually
absolutely.
he speaks very quickly so the crowd can't chant along with it. But now it seems they've taken that part out.
Well, that's because the crowd wanted... Like, that's crowd fun that they didn't create.
Yeah.
Therefore, they can't have it.
The crowd have only got so many pops. Can't be using it on rules. Backstage with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Renee Young does an interview. This was a nicely structured promo around saying the word yep.
Yes, I mean, that's all their promos are these days, but they do it very, very well.
Yeah. They're so good that even though I love Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens probably more than any other act in WWE because I followed them so long before then, they made me annoyed.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them get beaten up.
Absolutely. And
that's how annoying they were.
And Sammy botched his line by calling himself Seven.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very
Seven
good.
Zayn.
Yeah, Seven Zayn. But thankfully, Kevin Owens is there, quick as a flash, to be like, it's okay. It doesn't matter that you said 7. Because you're still going to win tonight.
Breezango and the Bludgeon Brothers next. Yep.
Match didn't start. Bludgeon Brothers sort of beat them up before the bell rang. Then the Ascension came out and they got beaten up too. Next.
Yeah, it's more holding pattern stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
This feud must continue.
I wish that, why not just give them some more jobbers or... Yeah, there must be another way to schedule this, to keep this feud going. Because you can tell stories from week to week and not make it repetitive.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's WWE. Tag team booking's not really their strong suit. Which is why Seth Rollins has been feuding with Sheamus and Cesaro since last bloody summer.
Yeah.
And it feels like, honestly, God, it feels like they're going to be feuding until WrestleMania. Like, I really get the feeling they're going to be in this feud until WrestleMania now.
New Day and Rusev Day were backstage next. Xavier Woods had a blindfold on, and Kofi and Big E were saying, "We've got a surprise for you." It was a 2018 cake.
Made of pancakes.
And it was their way to wish him luck for the US title tournament. And this it made the US title tournament feel like something.
Yep. And then the always excellent Rusev Day, Rusev and Aiden English interrupted. But then my favourite part of it was when Rusev cuts a promo about how silly they are, and then he stole his wish. He blew out the candle and then walked off, and Xavier Woods was like, he stole my wish. He stole my wish. was great.
So, yeah, and said that the US title will be as.
Yeah.
So this is all good stuff. And I love tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I like the US title picture right now. They're building various feuds. The whole Dolph Ziggler thing in the background still very intriguing. This made it feel like a bigger deal, that stuff is happening backstage that plays into the what's at stake. But have you seen any of the stuff on Twitter that Xavier Woods and Aiden English did to build this?
No.
Xavier Woods has been like saying, Xavier Woods 2018, like it's a presidential campaign, and he's been dressing up in suits, recording like little packages on Twitter, and one of them was an interview with Blue Pants.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was like, Blue Pants, tell me, what was it like working with Aiden English in NXT?
Oh, because of the Ford Villains, yeah, when they won the tag team titles.
Yeah, and she would say how horrible he is, and he's like, well, that's why you shouldn't get behind English for 2018.
Oh, that's very good.
So it's like, but that's good. Why not have that on the show?
Because the writers didn't think of it.
Which plays directly into what happened next. Mojo Rawley cut a promo. Mojo Rawley is a very good promo, but he was only given 30 seconds here, and he was intense. He did it well. Woo, woo, woo. He said it threateningly at the end. But why? Oh, it could be better. He's got enough talent to cut a good promo. We've seen it on Twitter when he cut those extraordinary promos.
Yeah, but this really feels as well like this is SmackDown's new way of presenting promos, where it's not just my guest at this time, question. It's now just the guy standing in profile against like a green tarpaulin and cutting a promo, because Baron Corbin stood in the exact same position and cut a promo later, entering himself into the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it's and I'm a big fan of wrestlers looking directly into the camera to cut a promo.
Yeah,
I think that's
rather
very
than
effective.
sort of looking off camera, not even looking at the interviewer, looking off camera,
looking at that TV that they put over there, the curve. But yeah, it's just so WWE, isn't it? Like, you're so close, but it just doesn't feel good for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And what a terrible backdrop.
It does look like the one that Matt Hardy's got, which is meant to look rubbish.
Yeah. Like, why don't they have flames?
What you want like the 1980s promo where you cut a promo in front of your logo.
That would be great. No, I want the Armageddon set.
Oh, well.
With burnt out cars in the background.
Yeah, you can't do that for every show, though, can you? That ruins Armageddon, then.
Okay. Well, then you had Xavier Woods taking on Aiden English. Rusev was in the ring to help Aiden English. And Aiden English is going to introduce himself and Rusev, but Rusev is like, no. This is your match. I will sing Rusev Day.
Yeah.
And Rusev sang Rusev Day to hype Aiden up. I thought this was a lovely moment.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I thought English's reaction to it was brilliant. I thought the song that Rusev sang was also great. I thought this was awesome. These are a very, very good pair.
It's because Rusev is obviously the star here. But I think they're doing a very good job at keeping Aiden English at the same level. Mm-hmm. And this really helped that by Rusev not just being... Because it happens so much in WWE where the more dominant just treats the other one like a lackey. And that's what Aiden English is. He's just the guy who sings Rusev's entrance music. But they're making it more of a friendly... We're just bastard heels together.
Aiden English, who we should never forget, holds a victory over Randy Orton.
Yeah. DQ, but still very good.
The history books show that he won the match.
So this was a pretty decent match, I thought.
Yeah, it was a fairly fine TV match. Quick action to start with. English slowed it down by doing some headlocks. It was the only match of the night that didn't have an ad break.
Yeah.
And then Woods won.
Yeah, I really like Woods. I've liked Woods from his Consequences Creed days in TNA. But what was weird to me, he hit a lumbar check.
Yeah.
And I've never noticed that in his repertoire before. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, isn't that really frowned upon when you use another guy's finish as a setup move?
Well, Jason Jordan is using Eric Young's finisher at the moment.
But that's different rosters. I mean, I know Raw and SmackDown, but...
Because it just means now that Eric Young has either got to have a new finisher when he comes up to the main roster, which means he's got to start again from scratch to get that over, or Eric Young just changes it now. But yeah, I agree. I thought it was frowned upon.
Yeah, although it looks great. I love that move. It's just,
But it looks better as a finisher. And it looks better when when Cedric does it, because he does it on guys that are much smaller, so they
fly up in the air.
They do rock selling a stunner.
But Xavier won with the up, down elbow. Is that what it's called?
And Scooby-Doo, mate.
I like that elbow.
It's a great elbow, but I don't know if that's what it's called.
So Jinder Mahal was watching from backstage.
He was,
the Singh brothers,
because he's going to be facing Xavier Woods next week.
Which I really want a Woods singles run.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think now's the time. Don't break up the New Day. I'm not saying that. Just Woods is going to go for a singles title.
I think that would work really well for the New Day as well. That kind of just breaks them up. They're not always in the same holding pattern, really. You can kind of all go spread their wings, but like the Shield. They can all go off into their separate feuds, unless you're Seth Rollins and you're in the same feud for 12 months. And then you can come back together for when you need 6 persons.
Yeah, and Woods could be a good US champion. He's a great promo. I really enjoy his wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
There we go.
Oh, mate, we got one of my favourite moments, or always my favourite moments of SmackDown, when you have 4 SmackDown women standing in a row.
Yeah.
As they cut a promo because the welcoming committee are back together. What happened to Natalia's Clash of Champions promo?
I've written that down here too. She sort of teased retirement.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what everyone read it as. And then she was like, "I'm turning my back on the WWE universe and the women's division." But now she's just like Betty mates with some of the people that she apparently turned her back on.
It was
whatever.
Just done for the sake of doing it seems.
Yeah, pretty much.
Completely baffling, and
but again,
undermines anyone who wants to run a genuine promo like that in the future.
But again, actually, it really does highlight the fact that maybe this the Women's Royal Rumble was decided quite late in the day, possibly after Natalya had cut that promo, because they're like, oh, actually, we've got the Rumble to hype now, so and we need every available hand we've got, so we need to put Natalya back into regular competition.
Yeah. That's another bit of evidence to weight that theory. Why bring back the welcoming committee?
Because
of all the names.
Because they I guess they're really into faction warfare on SmackDown at the moment, but it doesn't really feel like it's faction warfare, because there was a moment, actually, I've actually written this down. Corey Graves said earlier in the night that Riot Squad have torn through the women's division since they debuted, and I was like, no, they haven't. They lost a match a couple of weeks ago, and every time they get stood up, or anyone stands up to them, they run away. They haven't run through anything.
For the first 3 weeks, definitely, but ever since, which is now a month, I guess. No,
not at all. They have really run cold on the Riot Squad, and that's through no fault of the 3 girls. Maybe Sarah Logan, but no fault of the 3 girls.
Sarah Logan? Why do you mean Sarah Logan? She do a great job.
Yeah, she's.
It's a bit. I
don't know where you go.
A bit Tommy Wiseau from the ring.
But I've run really cold on them. It's through no fault of their own. It's just through their quite pants booking.
So this turned into a match. The Riot Squad taking on the Welcoming Committee, who were the Welcoming Committee minus Lana on the outside. Commercial break for the majority of this.
It certainly was.
And Sarah Logan beat Tamina with a cartwheel knee.
Yeah.
Which wasn't impressive. It happened, and I thought, that's a cool move, but why aren't I impressed?
It's because
seems like a good idea.
It's because it just feels like it's so slow.
That's it.
When you're doing a big kick move like that, it needs to have quick, fast impact. Like it can come out of nowhere. But it felt like I've got to slowly do my cartwheel, and then gravity is going to do the rest for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being like Black Mass or something like that, where he just turns around boom, just kicks you right in the face. It felt like more of a transition move.
It was a falling knee rather than a running knee.
It was like when Dana Brooke in NXT, because there's what WWE likes to do. If you're very good at athletics, if you're a woman, they're like, do something really athletic, like Bliss doing the Twisted Bliss or wherever Sparkle Splash, as it used to be called in NXT. Dana Brooke used to do the thing where she'd do a big handstand and then would drop an elbow from it, which it looks impressive, but at the same time you're like, but actually that would do less damage than if you just dropped a regular elbow drop.
It's psyching people out. I can do this to you.
I can do minimal damage to you for maximum effort.
So after this, the Riot Squad stood there, and Ruby cut. I thought a pretty decent promo. Yeah, she is a good promo.
She is a good. I don't think she actually tagged into the match. Well, she might have done during the commercial break.
But the content of her promo was pretty poor, I thought. Although her delivery was good. So it's like Orlando Magic, the basketball team.
Yeah, did you not see Karl Malone at ringside?
Doing DDP?
Yeah, is it? Because he's DDP's buddy.
Yeah.
He's main event at WCW pay-per-views.
That was one of my favourite moments in the show. And Disney World is there?
In Orlando, yes, there is,
So that's magical. Anyway, so she's like, don't believe in magic. It's not real. The Riot Squad are real. The crowd were chanting what? But it kind of fired up Ruby more.
Yeah.
The what chant is mostly bad, but sometimes it really works. And I thought this was one of those occasions.
Can you believe that people have been chanting what now for, we are now 17 years? 17 years people have been doing that. 17 years.
Luke, we've been through this. If I was to pose that 1 out of 100 people is an idiot, you would say, well, that's way too low. And that's why the what thing has caught on.
Okay. I thought about this during Raw as well. When Rhino came out and people were chanting ECW, I was like, ECW closed its doors in 2001, guys, come on. It's a bit like us chanting for stuff that, like, in the 90s, if we'd have been chanting for stuff that was popular in the 1970s.
Yeah, times have changed.
Yeah.
The Riot Squad entered themselves into the Royal Rumble match, the women's one, of course, not the men's one. And Charlotte came out and cut a terrible
It was quite bad.
It was so cringy.
Yeah. Poor old Charlotte. She was given some duff material to work with here.
Like, because, of course, the Riot Squad's promo was all about magic's rubbish, we're real, which, was poor, but okay, you're real. Charlotte comes out, well, I do believe in the power of dreams. Christ.
It's one thing when the New Day do it.
Ironically.
But it's really bad when your women's champion comes out, A, without her championship, and B, then sort of like, I do believe that dreams can come true, and I believe in the power of magic. And I'm like, oh, this is very bad.
Yeah. Really terrible. And she brought out, and then she was like, I've got someone who, wants to have a word with you or get revenge. And out came Naomi. And I was like, thought that would be Becky Lynch.
Well, no,
Why is Naomi here?
Because you need 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Because last week you did it 3-on-3, so this week you need to do it again. Control-C, Control-V.
I just thought, why couldn't Naomi come out with Charlotte? And then they could both introduce Becky Lynch.
Because I think Naomi wants to do her knee slide.
Yeah. Well, she gets to do that.
And you got to see Charlotte dancing along to her entrance music, so, there's always that.
But then she said, and there's someone else, and said the exact same line again. It wasn't really well built up, but then Becky Lynch's music hit and all was forgotten, and I was like, good grief, I've missed her.
Yeah, I've missed Becky.
Like, she came out, and instantly she's so cool, she's genuine, she looks fired up and happy at the same time, the perfect mix. Her music's awesome, she ran down, she laid down the squad. I didn't even mind the Riot Squad being made to look weak here because I was so happy Becky Lynch was back.
It's fine because Becky's the big returning babyface, so it's fine for the heels to get taken out then. It doesn't help when the heels get taken out the week previous and all the other times, so that's when it kind of like backfires a little bit. But I'm glad to see Becky back. But as I said in my SmackDown Live review, you have 10 women on your SmackDown roster. They all don't need to be in the same bloody storyline.
Yeah. Baron Corbin next on the Matt Hardy backdrop announced himself for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin's going to be in there.
I wonder what we're going to do with Corbin this year.
I don't know. Should we have a talk about that later? What are we going to do with him?
What are we going to do with Corbin this year? Because Money in the Bank didn't work, US Champ didn't work, like, what's next?
Didn't even get over with a feud with Kalisto.
Well,
there's no help in that.
Sin Cara.
The Sin Cara chairs match. Am I getting them mixed up? Am I getting my luchadors mixed up?
You are, yeah. Sin Cara. You got the wrong Lucha Dragon.
No, yeah. So Kalisto was the chairs match, which was actually surprisingly good.
Yes. You're daft racist.
My bad. Just masks. They all look the same to me. AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn was the main event. Styles came out first, then everyone in charge of SmackDown came out.
Absolutely.
So Bryan and Shane, and then Sami Zayn came out with Kevin Owens in tow. Good match. Just AJ Styles and Sami Zayn wrestled.
A good TV match.
So I've written down here, does anyone take a Blue Thunder Bomb better than AJ Styles?
I mean, because he can throw himself around.
It's like a fidget spinner up there.
It felt like he was doing multiple rotations. It almost felt like Sami Zayn was Zangief in Street Fighter doing this huge spinning pile driver thing. It was wonderful.
Don't get the reference. And I love the way
cool
AJ...
people will.
puts cool people. Well, I played a bit of Street Fighter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on the SNES, the retro SNES over the Christmas period.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was an insane, very complicated, planned out tournament between 5 of us.
Oh.
Yeah, there was everyone played everyone, but then everyone also played everyone again in the knockout phase. It was very complicated.
Very complicated. Who was your character of choice?
I the lady. I believe you say thick legs.
Thunder legs. Thunder thighs.
Thick legs. Yeah.
Yeah. Chun-Li.
Chun-Li. That's her.
Yeah.
I like the kicks.
Yeah. Just tap one button.
Who's yours?
My character of choice. Bison. M. Bison.
Okay. I was told. Oh, is he the guy with the arms that stretch?
That's
really far?
Dalsim.
Is Bison the kind of monster guy?
That's Blanca.
Blanca's the guy I was told to fight with, because apparently he can beat anyone if you're not very good.
No, but I mean, you can use the electricity, but it's tough because you need to be good at charges if you can do if you're going to go as Blanca.
We watched to psych us up for this. We watched the finals of one of the Street Fighter tournaments.
Oh, nice!
And have you ever seen it where the guy blocks all of Chun-Li's kicks?
Yeah, he parries them.
That's it. He parries them.
Yeah,
incredible. This was also very good though. We got sidetracked. Styles and Zayn was very good.
Yeah.
I love the way AJ puts on the calf crusher, for instance.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I love it. And
I thought that was great selling from Sammy as well when he was nearing the tap.
He was in it for quite a long time as well, which I was very surprised. I was expecting him to tap. But when he was like, I thought he's going to tap here. But then, and this is kind of a problem with this sort of booking, I suppose. I was there going like, well, I'm sure he's going to tap soon. And then thought to myself, oh, we can't though, because we haven't had any interaction yet with the guys on the outside. Yeah.
So what was happening on the outside was Shane and Kevin Owens were kind of clashing occasionally, and Bryan was acting as the, hey guys, sort it out. So you still don't know where Bryan's allegiances were until, possibly, the end of the match, the finish. The referee falls out the ring, and Kevin Owens sort of stands in front of him and is like, are you okay?
Are you okay? Is your leg okay?
Yeah.
It looks like your leg hurts.
Stopping the referee from getting back into the ring to count the visible pin that AJ has on Sami Zayn. And the referee's really trying to get back in. It was very funny stuff. And then the referee does get back in, but Shane tells the referee to eject Kevin Owens from ringside. Bryan says that Shane might as well get thrown out too.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Shane says to the referee, you need to eject him. And the referee was like, I agree. Kevin Owens, you're out of here. Because prior to that, Shane had pushed Kevin Owens over. And then Daniel Bryan just got on the house mic and was like, well, Shane, if he's going to be ejected from ringside, you should be too.
Yeah.
Because you've also got involved in this. And so Shane was kind of looking and was like, say what now?
Really bad facials from Shane.
Oh, no, I kind of liked it, I suppose. Because he looked at him and just being like, what are you doing?
Okay, so that face, what are you doing? Like, which is this. Sorry, podcast listeners, you're going to have to go to YouTube. It's this. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's your expression. That expression does not change for the rest of the show when other developments happen.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
So Daniel Bryan, after, in this confusion when Bryan said, you should get thrown out too, Shane McMahon does goof face, Sami Zayn hits the haluva kick and gets the pin on AJ Styles.
Well, even better, because I really love this finish. It's not even just that Sami hit the haluva kick on a distracted AJ Styles. AJ Styles was distracted by Kevin Owens getting up on the apron. So even after he'd been ejected, Kevin Owens was trying to interfere in the match. And because Shane wasn't leaving after the referee had said, you need to go, the referee was dealing with Shane. He missed the interference, but did see the haluva kick, and then Sami got the pin. It was a really well-constructed thing. And I remember this from last year. It almost feels like it's not last year, technically, the year previous, when AJ was first WWE champion and he lost like 3 weeks in a row to James Ellsworth and Dean Ambrose and that sort of thing. And I saw a lot of people going like, oh, it's just burying AJ. I was like, well, not really, because AJ clearly could. He won all those matches, but Dean always caused him to lose, and AJ's the heel. And it's fine. AJ has lost 2 weeks in a row now to Kevin and Sami, but has not looked weak in either one of them, because in both matches he did have the match won. But idiots on the outside, Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens, and now Daniel Bryan, are causing him to lose. So, frustratingly, he grabbed the microphone and said, this is stupid. I may as well be booked in a handicap match. And so Daniel Bryan got on the microphone and said, at the Royal Rumble, AJ Styles will defend the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match. And he had this look on his face where I was like, that is a really heel move. And you've got heel facial expressions about you. Because again, Shane was looking and was like, what are you doing?
Same facial
expression. He's only got the one, two maybe. He's got smug as well. And AJ was in the ring going like, I wasn't serious. And you had Kevin and Sammy doing the yep and stuff. This was great.
Really, really good. Really, really liked it. AJ's facials as well was, he was sort of like, you are just bickering like children.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You've screwed me up because of all the tension you guys have. And Brian's, it was the most heelish he's felt so far.
It really is,
but, he still could go the other way. Raw or SmackDown, which one this week? Is that the right way to say it? There's a poll above our head. Click the I up there. What are you going to go for?
I was going to ask you first.
Okay, I'll go first.
You kick us off. It's the first WrestleRamble SmackDown v Raw of 2018. Where are your thoughts lying?
And this is episode 102 of WrestleRamble.
Something like that.
I
lose count.
1,002. It's weird because talking about SmackDown, specifically the end angle there, I feel like SmackDown's my favourite show of the week, but this is tough. I wouldn't say either show was brilliant.
No, I thought they were both like either average or smack bang in the middle.
It's the lower end of average. Oh, it's tough. I'm gonna go Raw.
Yeah, you see, I'm in the same boat as you. At the start of this record rather, I was like, yeah, Raw was definitely the better show this week because you had the Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match, which I really liked. I also liked Asuka versus Bliss, although I have some issues surrounding that. Really enjoying Jason Jordan's work at the moment and his storyline with Seth Rollins. So I was kind of looking at that, I was like, well, that's definitely it. But then I look at this main event picture on SmackDown Live, and I'm really, really digging it. And I think it is the most interesting thing. It's the only interesting thing on SmackDown at the moment, but it might be one of my favourite things in WWE at the moment. So maybe it is SmackDown. But I think, given that that's all there was to SmackDown, because you take that away and it's a nothing show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Raw as well.
Raw as well. Well, we will reveal your results in the WrestleTalk news in the next few days. Let's have a look at that magazine.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to point you to this article right here, this one on this page.
Ooh. It's Dr. Brandlove, or How I Learned to Hate WWE Commentary with Luke Owen. It's a very good article about the double speak of WWE commentary.
Pretty much.
So, if you're still here at this point watching WrestleRamble for the outros, you're probably a pretty dedicated member of the SWAF Nation. So why not? It's going to flop down. There we go. It's up again. Head over to the link in the video description below to purchase yourself a fine issue of the WrestleTalk magazine, issue 2, with the WrestleTalk 100. Hold it up, Luke. Or you can click the videos that have just appeared underneath.
Can I do one other plug?
Yes.
The WrestleTalk 100. If you want to hear the audio version of that, subscribe to the WrestleRamble podcast, and you can hear you talking with Kenny McIntosh from Inside the Ropes and Finn Martin of Power Slam fame about the WrestleTalk 100.
And
James Dixon, of course, talking about the WrestleTalk 100. And that is available for free on the WrestleRamble podcast, as well as our Christmas present to you, which was our Patreon review of Money in the Bank 2011, which we released as a bonus Christmas present.
We are generous. It's almost like you should do something in return for us.
Yeah.
But anyway, click the videos that have just appeared beneath us to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news or WrestleRamble. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. I think we're playing around with end cards at the moment. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Buy a magazine. Buy a t-shirt and support WrestleTalk on Patreon. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.